we're doing it virtually. A little technical difficulties. My dog's paw got hurt, and I'm trying to figure that out.
You probably never will find the true answer as to how she hurt her paw, which is sad, all the same. But, dogs, they get themselves into all kinds of stuff.
Well, I mean, the good news is she's still behaving normally in the whole nine. Like, she's still her. It's not, and it's not a major problem for her, even though she's limping pretty badly. You wouldn't know it based on how she's behaving, is what I mean. She's still full of energy and is eating and doing the whole thing. So,
I mean, fair enough. What are you gonna do?
I don't know.
Hopefully it's nothing serious and she just kind of tweaked it. I know that happens with our Manchester Terrier, Lola. Like, there's times where it's just, whether it's the cold or what have you, and she'll just start limping and you feel terrible, but there's really sometimes nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, you'd be like, I'm a bad dog, Dad. You're sitting there in the corner. This is ridiculous. So, Mr. McCarthy, first things first, I got to ask you.
Dude, I'm all right.
How you doing?
All right. Had a decent weekend. Nothing crazy happened. Everything's nice and set up. Got some cleaning done a lot of cooking lately. I don't know. I think it's the weather because it's only been below 45 for like a day in the past.
This weather's odd.
I'm not complaining. It's just weird.
Yeah, well, it is. It's just really, really strange how one day it's 20, the next day it's 40. Tomorrow's going to be like nearly 70, but it's going to rain, so that's awesome. Nothing like getting pissed on, but it's better to be pissed off than pissed on. It's probably a little pissed off. Mr. Travis Napper, because this episode's called "There's Room for Two," and as it turns out, did you know he's working till like 10:30 this evening?
Poor guy.
That's a tough break. He'll be even grumpier than usual.
More than likely, but I mean, maybe he'll get some rest by the time next week comes around.
Let's hope so, because we miss him, and Freddie's coming to your studio at the McCarthy Manor. Hopefully next week that gets back
crossed.
going.
I mean, I got the Tuesday new warehouse that I do. I kind of figured out, so that shouldn't be a problem. It's not too big. I was home at 12:30 today.
Right, and you said you were getting over being a little under the weather, and then Bailey.
I was a little nervous there.
And Bailey said. You were like, oh God, did it get me? Yeah, I kind of
was. I mean, I got a good streak going. I haven't had it not one time, so I'm like, oh my God. But it was. You haven't had it one time? Not one time.
See, that's what happens when you keep yourself in decent shape.
I guess all I do is walk all day, but I guess that counts. I mean, and before when I was at the grocery store, I mean, I did kind of just walk all day.
Well, I mean, frankly, I'm offended at the thought of walking all day, but that's all right. But I believe, Mr. McCarthy, this is a wrestling podcast.
Oh yeah, it is, isn't it?
Is that what this is? Is that why we're here?
Probably.
All right. Well, we might as well get into it then. Did you catch the Elimination Chamber?
Yeah, bro. Come on now.
Chamber
was legit.
Of course, we got to kick it off. We got to kick it off and talk about one of the best things the company has ever produced, ever. And I'm saying this about a Roman Reigns match, so I mean in every flipping word. Roman Reigns defeated Sami Zayn to retain the undisputed WWE Universal Championship, but that headline does not tell the story. This was magnificent. This was, this was as good a storytelling as Austin McMahon. This was as good a storytelling as Hogan Rock. It was, in modern history, I think it only compares, when I say modern, I mean the last decade or so, probably CM Punk, John Cena, Money in the Bank, where, obviously CM Punk won and took his ball and left there for 10 days. What'd you think of it? Am I giving it too high a praise? Talk to me.
Oh, dude, this was utterly fantastic. You are not giving it too high of a praise. I will tell you that right now. My God, the work those two did. I mean, not even just match quality, but like everything fit so well with the story they were trying to tell. And you can really see a lot of Sean's early runs in Sammy. I can't think of an undersized main event guy that they have really pushed the resilience for. Like, of course, Rey Mysterio, because that's his whole thing. But, like, the average looking guy. Because, I mean, Shawn Michaels might be one of the greatest of all time. But, I mean, if you're not a wrestling fan, you're not going to know he's a wrestler walking through the airport. It's kind of the same thing with Sami Zayn. And he's really the first guy I feel like they've gotten behind as far as you just can't beat him. You just can't.
Well, I think when I think of kind of modern day comparisons to him, I think he's like Mick Foley. He's the everyman.
Yeah.
We all relate to him. He's easy to root for. His character is has had a lot of shifts, but each of them are good in their own way. And so, to me, that's what I think of. I think of kind of a Mick Foley-esque everyman that everybody can relate to. Everybody wants to see win the big one, and we're all kind of hoping for that moment. Heater is the kicker of the situation. And again, we're going to break down this a lot from all angles.
That's fair.
You have a guy named Cody Rhodes who literally, since the moment he stepped foot back in the company, the story has been, I'm going to win the WWE Championship. With that prize currently comes the Universal Championship because one of the biggest head scratchers of the Triple H regime, in my opinion, is the fact that it seemed to be universally agreed upon that Vince's decision to put both titles together was a bad decision, and yet here we are, like 7-8 months into the Triple H regime, and nothing has changed in that regard. What do you do if you're WWE when you have Sami Zayn, who is so hot, and you kind of compare it to WrestleMania 30, but here's the kicker, here's the difference and I'm not trying to be smarter than the average fan that listens to the show, and we thank you for listening. But as we all know, Batista was the chosen guy, but nobody wanted him. But the difference is a lot of us, including myself, want to see Cody Rhodes tell the story, want to see him finish the story and have a Rhodes win the WWE Championship. I've already thought about they could do a magical scene within a few Monday Night Raws after Mania where he takes the WWE title and probably by proxy the Universal Championship to the grave of the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. I mean, can you imagine that story or that moment, McCarthy?
I could see that as a segment for sure.
Yeah. And so what do you do if you're WWE? Because, again, would you agree the big difference here between this and WrestleMania 30, which is getting a lot of comparisons, is, yes, Daniel Bryan's rise was organic, as is Sami Zayn's, but it was organic in the name of we don't want Batista to be the champion, where most people the crowd has not turned on Cody Rhodes, at least not yet. So can you see the big difference there?
Oh, there's a huge difference because, I mean, you got to look at it. It's exactly like you just said. Nobody wanted Batista. Nobody really wanted Randy, and nobody really wanted Triple H either as far as the fan base went. As great as that run was for Daniel Bryan, now Bryan Danielson, it's a completely different thing because everyone wants this to happen, and it's not because he's the best. Like, Sammy is a best option, if you will, but it felt like Daniel Bryan was the only option. Like, we needed a drastic change, and I think that was part of what got everybody behind Daniel Bryan at the time. I really do. Like, yes, he's fantastic. a surefire Hall of Famer, probably one of the top 5 currently in the ring all over the world today. But we really wanted to change to the status quo then. It's, yeah, Roman's title reign has gone kind of long in the tooth, but the story is so good. It's okay that it's taken this long. And they didn't really have those good stories when we were just like, oh my God. Like, I guess I'm not trying to say we wanted Bryan Danielson by default, but there weren't a lot of other options. Now we have, Sammy, we have Cody, technically Kevin Owens. Like, there's a lot of directions you can go with this. And I think that's the main difference.
I gotta agree with you. So I have to ask, if you're Triple H, who is doing the major booking, though it was reported that Vince had input on Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn, which is, I'm sure, to the Vince detractors, a scary thought. Do you think that's a scary thought, number one? And then number two, what do you do if you're Triple H? Who is your guy to beat Roman Reigns, assuming you're having him beaten at WrestleMania? There's a lot to unpack there. Go with it.
First, I don't think it's a big deal that Vince has creative input. We talked about this when he was still gone from the company. That's a guy you call. I mean, now they might be in a meeting together, but that's a guy you call. You ask his opinion. No matter what you think of Vince McMahon, he's created what we love and watch every single week as far as a viable television product and a viable billion-dollar business. You ask his opinion. An input doesn't mean he's still making the decisions. Because what I do, if I'm Triple H, it's Cody. That's the story. Cody beats Roman. But then because of last night and the promo that Paul Heyman cut, you can split those titles so fast. Why has Roman never had to have 2 different title matches in one night, for example, because they want to split the titles? Paul Heyman's that reason. Paul Heyman's that reason he's not on this show each and every week. Like Paul said, Cody can take those titles, but he won't have a Paul to negotiate things. I think that's the easiest way to make a prediction like that come true and get the titles separate. The WrestleMania Backlash, Cody's got a rematch with Roman for one championship, and he has to wrestle Sammy for the other one. And it doesn't have to be Sammy. Because I don't want Sammy to get rushed. Him and Corbin did a great job last night. That was a very solid match, and the crowd's still fully behind him. But he was in a storyline with Roman. Like, I really wanted, the emotion in me wanted Sami Zayn to win. But you got to look at it like, okay, he did this. He did all this with Roman. He kind of did it all on his own. Yeah, he was put into the story, but he made what he did entertaining. Can he continue that process? But that's kind of a side note ramble. But I think you easily, with Heyman's promo last night, you can make him defend both titles in one night and split those titles real quick.
Well, here's my counter to that, and I'm only playing quote unquote devil's advocate here. I don't necessarily disagree with you, but the thing about having Roman lose, like you're talking about having, just some understanding, are you talking about having Roman lose twice or Cody lose and then split them?
No. Cody beats Roman at WrestleMania. And then WrestleMania Backlash, he has to defend each title in a separate match.
Okay. All right, my bad. Then I don't have all right, I was misunderstanding. I thought you were talking about Roman.
Oh, no, that's crazy. Only Cody can beat him, and then that's it. He only gets beat once.
Well, that leads me to, the question: is there any party that thinks they should stick Sami Zayn in this match, make it a triple threat, and have Sami Zayn be the guy?
Emotionally, yeah, but I think the more emotional, heartfelt story is Sammy and Kevin Owens taking the titles off the Usos at WrestleMania. Because there's still issues with the Usos. There's still issues with Sammy and Kevin Owens. And, logically, it takes time to patch those up. You just can't patch them up in 3 days or a week. So I like the slow burn we're getting, and there might be dissension between both teams as we get to WrestleMania, if that's the direction they go. And that's just as emotional. You're bringing two people back together that haven't been friends for a really long time, back and forth, damn near murder each other when they wrestle each other, finally seeing eye to eye. And I mean, it's not everybody's dream to be tag team champion at WrestleMania, but that's a big deal. Like, it's going to be I know that you have like 3 or 4 main event matches now each night at WrestleMania, but it's still a main event. It's still a world championship. It's still ending a historic reign, and it's bringing their career full circle. They started together, and now in 2023, after everything they've been through, they're tag team champions. And then on the reverse side, everything that the Usos let Roman do to them tore them apart. Because it's not like he doesn't gaslight them too, like he did with Sammy a couple weeks ago. And like he did with Sammy's wife on Sunday. Like that was one of the best parts of the match, when they got Sammy's wife involved, but not really. Mm-hmm. Like, it was just, she was kind of there, and Roman's, I wanted this for us. He did this, like, just gaslighting the hell out of her. And then you get the happy-go-lucky like 5 minutes later with him and his wife.
Yeah, I thought that was an incredibly underrated part of the story, because, we haven't seen Sammy's wife mentioned in this story at all for obvious reasons. I thought that was a great, just a great little, just a little nugget, a little Easter egg almost, where it's like, where Roman, being the kingpin, the head of the table, quote unquote, you go and just so you know, this is his fault. This is his fault. I'm doing what I had to do. This was one of the best pieces of storytelling I've ever seen the company tell. It doesn't matter who's booking, who's not booking. This is an all-timer. But the key here, the question is, how do you cash in on the momentum if Sami Zayn is not the guy? Again, I want to make clear something here, McCarthy, because I know I'm playing devil's advocate for Sami Zayn. I don't think Sami Zayn should be the guy to beat Roman. I think it should be Cody Rhodes. That, to me, Sami Zayn doesn't feel as big as Cody Rhodes, even with all this. And that's not me knocking. I'm just saying how I feel. But how do you keep this momentum? Because when is the last time that somebody's been this hot over a wrestling angle? Think about it. I'm not talking about a return. I'm not talking about some backstage dirt. I'm not talking about we're sick of this guy, so we're picking this guy. Sami Zayn is entirely organically created, and I can't recall the last time that didn't happen based on, at the very least, someone getting tired of the quote-unquote guy. How many guys were made because John Cena was shoved down our throat for the better part of a decade and a half? A boatload, right?
Yeah, a whole bunch.
Yeah. The difference is, and while I believe Roman is getting shoved down our throat in similar fashion, to the grand majority of the crowd, the WWE Universe, quote-unquote, it doesn't feel that way. They're not tired of Roman Reigns. They're not sick of Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is drawing the most heat now that he's drawn since he beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania the night after. So I don't know when the last time somebody was this organically over as Sami Zayn is, due to just a wrestling angle. Not a return, not a backstage dirt story, not a we're tired. Purely built on this wrestling angle that we have done over the course of Triple H's regime. I don't recall it. So my question is, and I know it's a long-winded way to get there, my question is, how do you cash in on the momentum if he isn't the guy to dethrone Sami Zayn, to dethrone Roman Reigns, pardon me?
I think you just keep doing what you were doing like last night. You put him in matches because now as a face, he's got to prove himself kind of alone, and you keep the emotional storytelling going. That's why I think the logical way to go is for them to wrestle him and Kevin Owens to wrestle the Usos at WrestleMania. Like, as long as you can keep emotion involved, Sammy will not fall by the wayside. He's too good. He just has to be involved. And I think it does take a Cody Rhodes to beat Roman Reigns. You have to have somebody with that kind of star power to defeat somebody with that long of a reign. But I don't think that's the same thing as Sammy beating Cody or Seth beating Cody. Like, the bloodline's falling apart. Roman lost his focus. Like, there's reasons that you can give to how the superstar that Cody Rhodes is, not just skill alone, but mind games and everything else has been going on with Roman. Cody's like the only one that can get it done with everything that's going on. But that's just one night. I mean, what do they say? Any given Sunday? I mean, it probably be on Sunday night.
Look, that's the route I'd go. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's what I would do. If I'm booking, if I'm Triple H, if I'm Vince McMahon, if I'm Bruce Pritchard, if I'm former WWE President Jack Tunney, that's a way back machine. Remember that, Jack Tunney?
I remember that.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Here's what I do. Cody Rhodes' night is night 2 of WrestleMania. Let's see how Cody handles the ball, especially during the toughest time of the year, because as soon as WrestleMania hits, once you get past that Raw after Mania, the interest for us for the non-diehard fans that aren't you and I starts dropping like a rock. That's just the truth of it. The summertime comes. People start going to their music festivals. People want to go outside. People want to, just do things because it's summer and there's a correlation between long days of sunshine and let's go do this. So here's what I would do. I would see how Cody handles the ball during the summer, and assuming that it isn't like one of the greatest 6-month reigns we see in history, because I really don't want any long reigns for a while, and I mean extensively long, I would try to give the ball to Sammy at SummerSlam and see how that works. And if it doesn't work, you can always call an audible in a month or two and stick it back on Cody or even somebody else. I think we have to find the middle ground between. Now we're back to the 80s where everybody and their mama is got to have a super duper long title reign for some reason. I don't get it. About a year or two ago, well, I guess I should say 3 now, with Roman Reigns, we were playing hot potato with the title and nobody had a long enough time to see. You can't give a quarterback 1 game or even 2 games to see if he's the guy. You need at least 6 or 7 to see if, all right, can you figure this out? And frankly, you probably need longer than that. So if you understand my football metaphor, we need to find a balance between the super long Hogan era type runs and the hot potato we were playing with for a while, like when Braun Strowman randomly lost the Universal Championship during the COVID year. Thunderdome era. It was, if you remember, it was really oddly timed that he lost at that point. We need to find a balance between those two. So I would try Cody this summer, this late spring and summer, and assuming that it doesn't, 1, light the world on fire, and 2, fall on its face, let Sami Zayn and Cody Rhodes revisit the story they told, what was it, last week on Monday Night Raw, for the second biggest show of the year, SummerSlam. That's not a bad story or a bad main event. Because even if Sami Zayn's momentum cools some, you can remind them of that promo and remind them of how hot Sami was, and you can get most of that back in a big way as we head towards what they usually call the biggest party of the summer, and certainly the second biggest event on the WWE calendar. It's going to be at Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan this year. Stadium shows always mean bigger things. That's where Brock Lesnar has to circle his calendar and go, God, I have to go to work. What do you think about that? What do you think of that idea? I personally believe give Cody the ball for this spring and summer after Mania, and then let Sammy and Kevin Owens have a tag title run here for a while, and maybe they break up amicably for once. I don't know how that's not possible one good time. And then we can, or you could, frankly, you could even have, if Sami Zayn is still anywhere near as hot as he is right now, he can be the tag champion going into the match with Cody. There's nothing that says he can't if you're that hot. And then obviously you can find a way to get it off up and down the line because people forget, like, we don't have to just do everything at major pay-per-views. We can make a title change at I don't know, WrestleMania Backlash or one of the Saudi shows. Or we don't have to just do everything 6 months. We can just try some shit because it's all the work anyway. So what do you think? Should Cody carry the ball for the summer? And then will you try Sami Zayn, assuming his momentum is still somewhere near what it is right now at SummerSlam?
I think that would work. I totally agree with that. If they want to keep the undisputed WWE Universal Championship stuff, I think it works perfectly fine. If you want to split them, who knows what you do? Who beats Cody for one? Who beats Cody for the other one? I guess that's my biggest thing. Are they going to split them? Are they going to make a new championship for Raw? Like, what are we doing?
It's impossible to know. And I'll tell you what. I mean, frankly, I'm even okay at this point if we go the lazy route and just be like, look, we don't want, two champions. Like, Adam Pearce can strip one or have Cody throw a fit or something. Like, strip one, have a tournament. I don't care. Because it's just time for both brands to have a champion. Even if it's done in a crappy way, if you do it in the summer, it's almost like the tree falling in the forest. If no one was around to see it, yes, you and I will be around to see it, and Travis Snapper will be around to see it because we can't give this thing up because we're morons. I say that with such love and respect, by the way, but I'm just calling a spade a spade. Because do you intend to watch these products over the summer, even though you could be doing other things?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yep, that's exactly it, right?
Especially with Hulu Live TV. It's so easy to record things.
Yeah, so we're going to watch this product. We're going to see how it all goes. Look, is there... Let's look at it from the other angle, because I said we'd break it down from a lot of angles, right? Is there any world, and I wouldn't think so, but let me play Paul Heyman, if you will, and create this bit of doubt into what the outcome could be at WrestleMania. WrestleMania 39 is, they're going Hollywood, and that's a big deal. You know what's really going to be a big deal, though? WrestleMania 40. Every 10 years or 5 is a huge deal. And so every time we hit that 5 or 0 number, huge things happen. Of course, WrestleMania 30 was marked by the end of the streak where Brock Lesnar wins in what was one of the biggest upsets in WWE history. And I didn't sleep that night because I found myself going, I didn't fall asleep till 11 a.m. the next day. I couldn't sleep.
Cheese and rice, bro. Cheese and rice. That's wild.
Given my love of The Undertaker, are you surprised?
No, not really.
So let me just create a little bit of doubt and ask this question. Is there any route where Roman Reigns beats Cody or Sami Zayn at Mania? And here's why I wonder. I don't believe that's happening, number one, but WrestleMania 40 is such a nice round number. And it would give him more time to pass the more modern era Hogan record. 40 can, because the kicker is we know that Roman Reigns signed a new contract, a multi-year deal last year to work less dates, but still be pretty much what he's doing now, essentially full time. where if he loses at WrestleMania 39, and again, this is not what I'm advocating for because I'm ready for him to lose this right on SmackDown. That's fine with me. But if he loses at WrestleMania 39 and he still has a pretty much full-time deal, at least for the remainder of his deal, what do you do with him? Well, like, we've done this for 3 years. You're in a case of like, you're in kind of post Goldberg streak territory because once Goldberg lost the streak, the big issue with his booking was like, well, what do you do? Because Goldberg was the streak, and now Roman has become, pardon the pun, it's not intentional until I just realized it. Roman has become the Reign. Like, he has, right? It's so weird for a guy that has been around 10 years and has been the face of the company for most of those 10, was a baby face for most of those 10, and has done a lot of different things under those 10, is now defined by this 900 plus day stretch. So, well, take this walk with me, assuming he has a full-time deal, a year remaining on the contract, because again, it was a multi-year deal, so I'm going to assume it was like 2, and then after 40, I'll probably start pursuing my other interest in a much heavier light. It just makes sense. If Roman has got a lot of time on his deal, when I say a lot, I mean months or a year, if he loses these titles, what do you do with him? Because he is now defined, again, pardon the pun, by this reign.
That's a fair question. I mean, the first thing is 2 months off or destroy everyone the next night by yourself instead of having the bloodline around. I really don't know what you do with him without those championships right now. That's the whole reason why he's the head of the table. I just don't know what you do at this point in storyline with Roman when he loses those titles. But I agree with you. Cody needs to beat him. I think it would be a disservice to Roman to wait until 40. Jesus. It's a year and a month away, and mostly because who's left? Who's left? Other than The Rock, and that's never a guarantee.
I know.
And honestly, I think it's easier to fit The Rock's schedule if it's a one-off non-title match. Honestly, because if you were going to have him at WrestleMania, for example, that makes sense. But for the championship at like SummerSlam or something, I don't see it. I see a one-on-one grudge match that fits. Not only does it bring like family stuff full circle, you can make it very reminiscent of that first SummerSlam match that Brock Lesnar had when he destroyed The Rock. Roman can do the same thing at SummerSlam, and it kind of turns things back around to where The Rock has trouble getting things done at SummerSlam.
Yeah, he's not exactly Mr. SummerSlam. Frankly, that title record-wise probably belongs to The Undertaker. Look, it's the thing about it for me is like, yes, Roman needs to lose these belts at Mania. That's obvious. I don't care if it's Cody, Sammy, Jey Uso, Paul Heyman. Someone's got to beat for these belts at Mania. But the kicker is, assuming that he's not getting out of his deal early or being allowed to pursue his Hollywood interest early, I don't know what to do with it. Yes, you can either write him off TV that night entirely and we'll see him down the line closer to maybe Money in the Bank or SummerSlam. I say Money in the Bank because it's going to be in London. They're going to want to make that show as big as you can make it. Roman Reigns is a big part of that. Pardon me, had a burp. So that's what happens when you drink caffeinated beverages, folks. You've been there, McCarthy.
For sure.
And so the issue is like, it is, what do you do? You know, because everything feels like such a massive step down. I don't know if he's won. I don't believe he's won the Intercontinental Championship in his time in WWE. I don't believe he has. Could he do what John Cena was capable to do, and that was take that step back, and he made the U.S. title feel extremely relevant to the point that his merchandise was tied into it. He had the open challenge nearly every week. But the problem is, with John Cena's character, that feels like possible. John Cena just wants to kind of be a part of the game at this point. He's been that way since Lesnar beat him at SummerSlam. He's just glad to be there every time he steps foot in the ring. So that's possible for John Cena's character, because that's not even John Cena's character. He really just seems to be glad to be there still after all this time. And stupid. It's a regular job to you, but stop smiling. And so with Roman's character, given this head of the table thing and being the tribal chief, it doesn't feel probable, or I don't know how you get to. Let me take a step back and go for the Intercontinental Championship. Don't get me wrong, if it was Walter versus Roman, or banger. I know I said Walter, Gunther, whatever. I don't care. If it was Bob Cosmakis, aka Gunther, I don't care. It's going to be a banger. But how would you get him to that point to take the step back, McCarthy?
I mean, that's a good question. Maybe, I mean, it's as simple as a tournament to see who the challenger is, and he just inserts himself because he's the head of the table, damn it. I mean, at least through the summer, he could, like, feud with Jay and Jimmy and Solo. You know, this is all your fault. I lost my titles because of you. You couldn't keep your mind right. This is your fault. So, I mean, you could stretch that out for, I don't know, 3 to 6 months probably between all three of those guys. You have to switch it up a little bit, but I think that's what you would need to do first after Cody beats him. But then after that, to put him in the Intercontinental Championship, I think it would have to be sometime next year. It would have to be like I'm not sure what, where he's not allowed to challenge for the world title for a minute, or one of those weird stipulations where he's not able to wrestle for the world title until Cody loses it or Sammy loses it or whatever, because he just goes crazy and beats up officials or what have you. And then I think you can explain it, because he just wants a championship. But I don't think it would fit right now, at least until next year, to try to put him in the Intercontinental title picture, unless he just wants a piece of Gunther. If he just wants a piece of Gunther, that I can understand. But even still, you're right, it would be a huge step down. He was the WWE Universal Champion for 300-400 days. It's a bit of a step down. So I don't know if that's an option. I mean, it couldn't hurt. They've tried worse things, I'm sure.
Look, I like your idea. I think what I would do is, when Roman loses at WrestleMania 39, assuming he is, I think he's got to go away till it's time to build for Money in the Bank, because, again, it's going to be in London. I don't think we should see him again on TV other than hinted at for the build and story until the build for Money in the Bank. And then that first night back on Raw or SmackDown or whatever have you, I have him go absolutely ape. And just completely destroy everything and get suspended and the whole nine. And that's where you would build the whole, if you're going to behave this, you can't challenge for the championship, the world championship. And then you somehow or another can have Gunther, say Roman has a couple weeks where he keeps interrupting segments. Just boom, Then you can have him try to interrupt Gunther and Gunther not take it because he's Gunther. And then that's how you kind of get to that. And, because you wanted to stand in the way of the head of the table and stand in the way of this injustice, I'll take your championship. I think there's a way to do it. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn and Cody Rhodes and the whole nine. And before we move on to Austin Theory retaining his championship, thank God. Let's McCarthy, tell us about our friends Dubby.
Oh, Dubby. If you visit dubby.gg, you can get yourself some big energy tiers. It's 150 milligrams of coffee fruit extract, and I promise after the break I will grab the tub that it came in. But let me tell you what's up. It's good, clean energy. Like, there's some times where I've had like 3 cups of coffee to get me through the day, but then like 4 o'clock comes around and it's like, oh man, I need a nap. Same thing with Bang and Ghost Energy. You know, you get those crashes. I haven't had one of those crashes. Now, has it replaced my coffee? No. It's replaced my coffee in the afternoon with decaf coffee, and that was never a thing. But it's good, clean energy. It's really good with water. It's fantastic. Like, the blue raspberry is the bomb. I am telling you right now. Like, I opened that tin for the first time, and I was just smacked in the face with this blue raspberry. Like, and normally when you say, oh, I got smacked in the face with a smell, it's a bad thing. It wasn't this time. This blue raspberry was fantastic. And like I said, it's great with water. It's even better in my smoothies every morning. It's phenomenal. I love this thing. It's great. You don't want to miss your chance for Dubby. Use that code on your screen to the right. Yeah, to the right. Bruiser Nation, that's BRUZER Nation, for 10% off every order. You don't have to go in like I did and get a whole tub. They got starter packs starting at like $15. I think it's totally worth everybody's time to at least try it. It's all natural, no fillers, no maltodextrins, B1, B2, B3, C, 57. I don't know what vitamins. There's so many. Just in general, not in Dubby. There's only like 4. But everybody should give it a try. And I'll tell you what, the shipping was quick. I mean, it came from like the coastal tail end of California, and I got it like Thursday, maybe Wednesday or Thursday. No, I got it on Tuesday last week, and I ordered it Saturday. So I ordered it Saturday, and it got to my house by Tuesday through the United States Postal Service from the corner coastal area of California. That ain't bad.
That's getting around like the Beach Boys right there. That's getting around. So, will we be doing a live taste test live on the air next week, assuming I'm able to make it in studio?
Yeah. It'll be fun.
All right. We'll be all jacked up like that kid on Mountain Dew in Talladega Nights.
But, I mean, that's also the best part. Like, you have energy, but you're not, like, bouncing off the walls. It's weird. It's like you just don't wear yourself down as fast, but you're not like bouncing off the walls and jittery. Or, I mean, you've seen me after a couple of freaking Sour Patch Kid ghosts, man. I'm everywhere. It's not like that.
Oh, yeah.
It's not jittery.
Yeah.
You just get, I don't know why it's not, but it's not. There's something that they put in there that the other companies, or actually there's something that they don't put in there that the big energy companies do put in there to give you the jitters.
That's probably that maltodextrin right there.
That's probably what that is.
With that kind of big word comes that kind of big crash. I'm just a believer. All right, but W Energy, give them that code one more time, then we'll talk Austin Theory.
That's W.GG. Use code Bruiser Nation, BRUZER Nation, and get yourself 10% off each and every order.
Did you use your code, buddy?
Oh, no, I have better codes because they're our sponsor.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
So, yeah.
Nice. All right. So, speaking of nice, Austin Theory retained the U.S. title inside the Elimination Chamber, but here's the kicker. Here's the catch. Here's the rub. Here's the sauce. It was with help from everyone's favorite YouTube star, Logan Paul, who cost Seth Rollins in a big way. It is now apparent, if it wasn't already, Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul is going to happen at WrestleMania 39. What are your thoughts on Theory retaining? And then we're gonna go down the Theory rabbit hole. But then, what are your thoughts on Logan Paul helping out? And now we're getting Paul versus Rollins.
I think it was all right. It gave Seth like an out per se. Like he got beat by Austin Theory because of Logan Paul. Austin Theory gets to retain his championship and keep this little mini feud he's got going on with John Cena and see where that takes us on the road to WrestleMania. And I think it was done really well because, yeah, Seth has been talking smack about Logan Paul a little bit here and there and whatever, but it really didn't. He really wasn't on Seth's radar, so to speak. He put himself on Seth's true radar when he cost him the United States Championship, which is going to cause Logan Paul a lot of problems. I just think it made sense because Logan Paul obviously has a giant ego. Whether it's for show or not, I don't know because I don't know the man. But he's got at least the character he portrays on YouTube and everywhere else. He's got a huge ego. Over here, Seth Rollins talking all this smack. Okay, yeah, I'll show you. I'll show you. Just you wait. I'm going to wait until the perfect opportunity, and I'm going to cost you. And yeah, it's predetermined that they played it, and that's why Johnny Gargano had, or I'm sorry, not Johnny Gargano. And that's why there was the injury angle with Montez Ford at the end, so Logan Paul could get in there. But I think it makes sense. It's a good way to get Logan Paul really involved with Seth Rollins past just eliminating Seth from the Royal Rumble. And it gives Seth Rollins a high-profile matchup for WrestleMania. Is it what we all want to see? Do we want to really see Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul? Meh. We know it'll be good. Logan showed that he can, be led to good matchups. So we know it's going to be good because it's Seth frickin' Rollins. But the way the world title's gone and with Cody involved, this is the biggest match Rollins could have. And it's not a small match by any means because of who he's wrestling in Logan Paul.
Look, I agree. It's going to be a big fight feel. What do you do with Austin Theory now? Do you still have him with John Cena even with the title on the line?
I think you do. And I think that's a hard it's a hard decision, but it's not. Because it's very tempting to be like, all right, yeah, John's going to beat Austin Theory. But John's not around enough. He wouldn't want that. I mean, you brought it up earlier. What he did with the United States Championship shows how much he cares. He was on the top forever. And then when it was someone else's time, he was like, all right, I'm going to go elevate this championship real quick because you guys have been messing it up real bad. And he did. But I think it's a big rub for Austin Theory, and there's really no way to get anyone else involved. Like, Austin Theory doesn't really have any friends. Who's going to, stand up for John Cena, per se, in storyline? So this could be Austin Theory's cementing win, beating John Cena by hook or by crook, all by himself. And I think that's what you have to do to really show that Triple H sees something in him. I think a lot of people still think in the back of their minds that sooner or later the rug's going to get pulled out from Austin Theory and Triple H is going to bury him. I don't think that's the case. And I think to not only elevate him to the even next level and shut those doubters the hell up is have him beat the invincible John Cena. 1, 2, 3, right in that ring with the A-Town down. Because damn, he's even better now than when he was running around with Vince. He's more confident. In the promos he gives, you can feel that he believes what he's saying. So there's no reason to not give him this next step. I like how it's been gradual. He's running with the U.S. title, and eventually he's going to be world champion. But I really want to see where this goes as far as keeping that U.S. title elevated, which they really did at Elimination Chamber. But he's got to beat John, and they need to set someone up to beat him, maybe SummerSlam. But that's all you can do with Austin Theory right now. You give him the biggest rub you can and have him beat a returning John Cena. Because nobody does that. Who beat John? The last time John Cena returned and lost?
Roman Reigns.
Yeah. So, I mean, You add Austin Theory to that list, he's already damn near a made man.
So, question. Let's say John Cena were to beat Austin Theory for the U.S. Championship. Let's just play that hypothetical game. Would that ruin Austin Theory? Would that bury him?
I don't think it would bury Austin Theory because it's John Cena, but at the same time, I don't think it would do him any favors, if you get kind of what I'm saying. And it wouldn't do the U.S. title any favors either. So what's John Cena going to do? Defend it for 2 months? I mean, I don't know his filming schedule. I'm sure it's pretty packed since he loves WWE and is never there. You know, he made a big deal of that wrestling at least once a year. He got on there on the Christmas Eve edition of SmackDown, or was it the New Year's Eve edition of SmackDown? I don't remember. But, I mean, that was a big...
It was the New Year's Eve edition of SmackDown, and he goes, "We are running out of chances."
So I mean, so you know that's important to him. So I don't think you can give it to John. But if you did, it would be a mistake probably for all involved. I mean, like I said, it wouldn't hurt Austin Theory as much as you would think because, I mean, it's John Cena. He's beaten everybody that there is to beat in this business. It's not really that big of a deal. But at the same time, you hurt all the work you have done with this U.S. championship gets hurt real quick because John can't be there.
But are you in danger of hurting yourself with John? Because again, we're in the and I agree, Theory needs to beat John. But again, as I often say on the show, and you usually agree, veterans have got to get some wins for it to still matter. Are we at that point with John if he doesn't get a dub against Austin Theory?
I don't think so. He won his last match.
I mean, a quick tag match.
Yeah, a win's a win, man. Win's a win. I think it would take like a lot to ruin the mystique of beating John Cena. Even at this stage, even with him being super part-time for the past few years, it's still John Cena. It's like when The Rock beat Hogan. Hogan was way past his prime when they wrestled. Hogan was not beating everybody when he wrestled The Rock. I mean, hell, that was just after the NWO ended. He like basically switched to the real American Hulk Hogan for that match. So I don't think this early would, so to speak, not matter that he beat John Cena. I think we're a few years, maybe 4 or 5, from beating John Cena not really meaning something because he doesn't keep coming back all the time. He's not involved in major storylines all year round. He comes and goes as he can. And I think that's been a way he's been able to maintain his mystique. As far as, damn, you beat John Cena at WrestleMania. It doesn't even matter. Like, you don't even have to mention the U.S. title being on the line at that point. But you beat John Cena, Mr. WrestleMania, at WrestleMania. I mean, he's beaten everybody at WrestleMania, not named The Undertaker, and probably Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania.
Well, let's ask this question then. You just mentioned it. Is there a way to do this match without the U.S. title, even if Theory has the U.S. title?
Maybe. I mean, because John can simply say, you know what? I can't do that to the United States Championship. I just want to whoop your ass. Because what he did with that title all those years ago with that open challenge really brought the U.S. title back into prominence. I know it fell by the wayside there for a while, and it's back up to prominence now. But John Cena didn't do that out of the goodness of his heart. He didn't do that because he was told to do it. He did that because he respects the history of the United States Championship. And when you're not in the main event and you're not wrestling for the world title, you tend to get a little bit more leeway as far as only do your 5 moves of doom and get the hell out of there. And when you're the mid-card champion, it's like you're expected to do more. because that's when my feelings towards John Cena really turned back around, because when he was rapping, I loved John Cena. But when he got in the world title picture and he was basically told to do nothing, he's not like Roman can do nothing and get away with it because he's a heel, and I feel like it's him. He's just going to beat you up slowly for 40 minutes. John Cena, 15-minute match, 5 moves of doom, because the higher-ups are like, that's all you need to do. Go out there, get the crowd hyped up, and go home, without the option to show how good he was. And then when he lost the title and started wrestling everybody, I was like, damn, he didn't forget how to wrestle. This is all right.
No, he did not. As he proved, he did not forget how to wrestle. He did not forget how to work. And boy, you don't know
really
what you got till it's gone.
Really
huh?
don't. I do wish him and Roman were like feuding right now. Like John Cena in his prime versus this Roman Reigns. Oh my God.
I think we'd be drawing. I think we'd be drawing Austin Rock money.
Yeah, for sure they would be. Everyone would be glued to that television.
I mean, can you imagine if they did what would be kind of a best 2 out of 3 essentially? Do a few months together.
God.
Man,
they don't even need a title. They can just fight each other. It'd be great.
There
it is right there. He goes roughshod on the bloodline. He goes roughshod on the locker room. And then the last pay-per-view of the year, so we get 2 John Cena matches this year. Him and John Cena face off. I mean, they got to build it for a couple months leading to that because he's got a busy schedule. But then at the last pay-per-view of the year, John Cena.
They face off, and then because then Roman will either win or lose, and then they do it again at the Royal Rumble. Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Let's make it happen. Speaking of John Cena, and I know we got the rest of Elimination Chamber to get to, and we will. He's coming home March 6th, Monday Night Raw. He'll be there, even though he's in Australia currently and going to be there for the next few months. Sounds like he's going to be flying back. Matter of fact, he said he's going from Australia that day to Boston. He said that on Twitter, which is nuts. Which is nuts. And, yeah, that's totally normal, John. He said, I'll be going from Australia to the streets of Boston. Can't wait. I don't know. I was probably starting in that tweet of like, oh my God, my schedule is so stupid. Because you're at that point, let's think about this for a second, because this is that kind of show. Australia's like 13 hours ahead of us, man. It's weird. Like, they're really ahead of us. And then he's going to time travel because he'll be on a different day in Australia and then back to Raw in Boston. He'll be Tuesday in Australia, Monday in Boston. What is the time difference between Australia and Boston? Got any idea on that? I can't hear you, buddy.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute myself. I don't know, but I'm going to find out because I'm curious.
Because, yeah, he said that he'll be going from Australia to the streets of Boston on his Twitter when it was announced that he'll be coming home for that March 6th Monday Night Raw.
According to the Google, it is 10:41 tomorrow morning in Australia. So they are 16 hours ahead of us. So yes, not only can John Cena be at the top of the mountain in the biggest pro wrestling company in the world and a successful funny ass actor in multiple different roles, but now he can say he time traveled. And I hope he says it in his promo. I time traveled to get here. I just hope he does.
He time traveled.
He gets to time travel. I am jealous of him right
now. But see, this is why I'm so lenient towards him compared to The Rock. Like, because we all have to acknowledge number one, we appreciate it, but number two, John, that's really stupid on your part. Like, you should sleep.
I mean, there's 16 hours on, I'm sure, a private jet where you could catch some Z's.
So it's, well, I've told this story on this show before, but I caught him the night because I went to Detroit to see him on some Racina. That morning was when he was walking around Hollywood Boulevard, the stars that morning in Hollywood on the Peacemaker outfit. And then that night he's across the country in Detroit, Michigan, doing a 6-man tag against the Bloodline. So just never change, John. Thanks for caring about us more than you obviously care about yourself. Because any normal human being, and I wouldn't even be mad, would be like, you want me to come to Australia? Okay. I really can't. Well, I guess I can. Who needs sleep? So he is going to be in Australia, we know, for the next few months, reportedly at least until April, and yet do you think he's going to find a way to successfully build this match with Austin Theory? Is that what this is all about? It's got to be, right? There's no historic reason for him to be back other than to get his WrestleMania feud going. Is he going to find a way to successfully do this while being in Australia at the same time, essentially?
I think so. And I think they're going to do it through social media, which takes us back full circle to when Austin Theory was taking selfies of people he was beating up and posting it on social. I think that's how you do it. You have this face-to-face confrontation on the 6th, and then you build it through social media after that. Because we've all seen that works. I mean, you can build a wrestling feud through social media fairly easily, no matter where you are in the world. You just cut a quick promo on your phone and call it a day.
Let's go. And well, I mean, we saw that in late December when he announced he was going to wrestle. That was obviously, here's my phone on a Hollywood set. Somebody send me my jorts, and I'll do the thing. Like, that's obviously what that was. Like, yeah, send me my stuff and I'll do it. Because that even looked like a Hollywood fake brick wall he cut that promo in front of. So he probably was on the set of, like, I don't know what movie he was filming or whatever. And it's like, we're breaking for lunch. Oh, we're breaking for lunch? Okay, let me go put on the uniform and go be that guy. And so, yeah, I think what you could do, because obviously he is incredibly busy, and whether he knows it or not, he does need to sleep. It looks like you need to sleep or some of that Dubby.
It's too late for Dubby. I'll be up all night. I got to work in the morning.
It's never too late for Dubby. So I think what you could do is, yes, obviously he's going to have the face-to-face confrontation, but here's the great thing. If you're booking this right, if it's well thought out, have him cut some vignette promos backstage. They can do a couple weeks worth of programming in one day at Raw if you have a plan. If you've got a plan, you can get some things booked. You can cut a few backstage promos. You can figure this thing out. You know what I mean?
Oh, you definitely. I think that would make it even better and more realistic that way. Instead of like, ooh, let's get this fancy camera. No, just grab your phone. It's fine. And Austin Theory can do the same thing. Like, yeah, he could cut a promo or two on Raw, but like, post something in the middle of the day. He's sitting there training and he can't get his mind off of Superman John Cena or whatever he decides to call him. So he's got to cut a promo right there in between sets.
Yeah, and John cuts a promo on his way back to Australia on his jet. Yep.
I'm coming for you. It's Wednesday. I'll see you Tuesday. And not next Tuesday, yesterday Tuesday.
You can just see he'll have fun with the time traveling. Like, no, there's a way to get this done. Like I said, you could cut a couple of backstage promos. You could cut something after Raw in the back, to be honest with you, to use for next week. I mean, if you wanted to do a beatdown angle, they can keep John there for another hour and get him, bum rushed by Theory. It's not that hard. He could be catching up with somebody. Maybe it's Triple H, maybe it's Shawn, maybe it's, I don't know, anybody. Maybe he's catching up, and then all of a sudden he just gets bum rushed by Austin Theory to extend the angle, and that can buy you a week or two, and then John in a couple weeks sends in a phone promo of him in Australia, and just rest assured, I may be doing this now, but at WrestleMania, you're going to get that guy, and you can't see me. So yeah, there's a way to get this done, and I applaud the fact he's going to apparently give it a go. But let me ask the question just to be obvious. This is definitely him building to his WrestleMania match. He's getting in the ring at WrestleMania. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, I totally agree. Why have him show up on like a month ahead of time if it's not going to be for WrestleMania?
He's coming home,
and I mean,
boys and girls.
And a match at WrestleMania because, like, yeah, he could do a hype promo if he wanted to for WrestleMania, but why come into town in March into the country in March in the middle of filming unless you're trying to set up something big for WrestleMania? It just wouldn't make sense.
Well, you know how hyped I'll be when we get it a little closer and see him in a couple weeks. I'll be getting cattywampus right here on this show. All right, let's move it along. Edge and Beth Phoenix defeated Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley. We all had, I believe, Finn and Rhea going over here.
I do believe we all did. I'm going to double check, though.
And I just think this is... I hope that means that Finn is going to win at WrestleMania. Do you think that's what this means?
Oh, he better. If not, this has been a whole big waste of time because it makes no sense. Like, I talked about it on the pod solo. Hopefully you had a great Valentine's Day with your fiance. But I talked about it a lot last week where it doesn't make sense right now. So why did they pick Finn Balor? Like, why? Like, yeah, they're more prominent. I think it works better with Finn Balor, but, like, in the grand scheme of things and common sense, they couldn't get it done. They lost to the guy that he supplanted, and now the number one contender for the SmackDown Women's Championship took a loss. All I can say is that, like, they lost well, if that makes sense. Like... I don't think it hurt them as much as I thought it was going to, but at the same time, it's like, damn, why'd they lose unless they're trying to set up like a Hell in a Cell or something at WrestleMania. At this point, there's nowhere else to go but that.
My issue is if we're supposed to buy that Rhea's going to beat Charlotte or be competitive with Charlotte at Mania, she can't take an L there in any fashion.
No.
She can't. You're going to face 14-time women's champion Charlotte Flair, the daughter of Ric Flair, the most dominant woman this industry's ever seen at WrestleMania on the Grand Stadium Mall, who's already beat you on the Grand Stadium Mall, granted during the COVID year, but still. I need to buy the fact that this is a new you, and a new you doesn't allow you to lose under any circumstances as we build towards Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair. You just can't take the L at that point, period. It just can't happen.
Oh, I agree. I thought it was a terrible decision. But like I said, the match was good. They looked good in defeat, if you will. Finn Balor took the pin, so it takes a little bit of the sting off Rhea. But, I mean, I said the same thing last week. You're just hurting their mystique at this point.
You just can't do it. All right, Bobby Lashley defeated Brock Lesnar via disqualification. We saw the Hurt Lock get locked on to Brock Lesnar, and he said, "How low can you go? I can go pretty low." As he kicked Bob Lashley right in the gonads, right in the twig and berries, right in the genitalia, let's say it. Let's call it what it properly is. And that's because we're doctors outside of this thing. So Here, I'm confused. I'm very confounded and puzzled. And can you tell? Can you tell? Can you
I
tell?
can tell, buddy. I can tell.
All right, like I understand that I am, I'd probably drink the sweat off Brock Lesnar's back because I think he's so special. So I know I'm biased. All right, I know I'm biased. That's fine. But Bray Wyatt cut this really weird promo with Uncle Howdy, aka Bo Dallas, aka local indie stand-in, aka I'm not sure who the hell that is. And he wanted the winner of Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. He cut that promo, which I thought was strange anyway, because I can't see either one doing the hocus pocus stuff that Bray Wyatt does, but okay. I'll play along because at least Bray Wyatt is marquee. But then, yes, I know Bobby Lashley technically beat Brock Lesnar, which means I technically lost a point. Who's booking this shit?
That's okay. I lost a point on that one too, buddy.
But I thought for sure we'd see a nice clean winner because of that Bray Wyatt promo. Someone's winning and someone's, maybe they're getting up and calling out Bray or whatever. Instead, we don't have a clear winner. We have got murky, murky water. It is like Hurricane Katrina has flooded in. There is no clearness whatsoever. And then let's jump forward a little bit. Because, all right, he might be back booking some of this WrestleMania shit because I don't understand why Triple H would think it's a good idea to potentially build towards Lesnar versus Omos at WrestleMania. Because as soon as I saw that promo, I went, is that you crazy old bastard? Is that you? Because I have to believe in my heart of hearts, as much as I don't have a great love for Triple H, I know he knows better. In this case, I know. He doesn't have the giant fetish. Like, he wants you to look good, but he doesn't have the giant fetish that Vince does. But look at him, he's a damn giant. There's a reason we call him the Big Ninja. I'm getting a little concerned here, McCarthy. Getting a wee bit concerned. And then, as I asked myself all those questions, I went, you're telling me, if this is really where we're heading, that Brock Lesnar agreed to this? Somebody slip something in his coffee? Help me out.
All right.
McCarthy, there's a lot here. So I want a few answers, and I'm going to ask them, and then you have the floor. Number one, why did we go with that finish for Lashley versus Lesnar? Number two, why are we really going with Omos versus Lesnar? And number three, if we are you convinced that Vince McMahon has got his hand in this thing? Because there's no way Triple H is doing this, right?
I wasn't as upset with the finish as you would think. I laughed kind of because, I mean, it's obvious what they were going for, desperation from Brock Lesnar. So I kind of thought it was funny that Brock Lesnar had to give a low blow. But then to turn around and we're basically not going to get a return match for a while. So now, like you said, Brock is about to wrestle Omos at WrestleMania. Okay. That's like way, way out of left field. And I'm going to go with he wants to see a gorilla versus a grizzly bear again, like it was with the Big Show. And Omos is the only one that can be the grizzly bear. So we're going to see Brock toss him around the ring for 10 minutes, maybe 8. And that'll be that. And it'll be fun. Maybe. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm trying. I am grasping at straws because I have no clue. Because, yeah, I laughed when he gave him the low blow, but I was at the same time, what? Really? And so, and of course, I was like, oh, so we're just going to see this again at WrestleMania. At least they swerved me there.
Oh, they're swerving you, all right. We're swerving into a tree. Were you like me and instantly when you saw MVP cut that promo, I became convinced at that point, and maybe I'm wrong, but I, in my heart of hearts, believe that's a Vince McMahon call. What did you think? You thought of him. I know you did.
A little, but then I was like, well, maybe Lashley doesn't want to do the Hurt Business thing. So now you got to have a heavy. So they got a heavy. Of course, I don't know where a group goes when it's MVP, Omos, Shelton Benjamin, and Cedric Alexander. Nothing against Shelton and Cedric, but like they're not exactly lighting the world on fire.
There is no way that Triple H thinks that Brock Lesnar versus Omos is a good idea.
I don't know, maybe.
The man won't book Goldberg. Why is he going to book Omos in this match?
He doesn't have animosity and personal issues with Omos. I don't know.
Let's be professional.
I agree. I don't know. I'm just trying to grab at something, buddy, because I don't know.
No, and I don't know this, but I think we are going to get confirmation from somebody that Vince McMahon is heavily involved in Brock Lesnar's WrestleMania feud. There's no other explanation to me. There's no other explanation to me because I could see Vince's logic. Look at him. He's 7'4". We could watch Brock Lesnar throw him around. It's a clash of the Titans. You could see that. I'm so glad you're amused by my Vince impression. I appreciate it.
Look, maybe this is that like you said, this feels really weird for Vince McMahon to not be booking a WrestleMania, like for Vince McMahon himself. This has to feel weird as hell, right? So maybe this is his son-in-law just giving him a solid, like, man, I know this is hard for you. I appreciate you giving me all this freedom. You book Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. Whatever you want to do, we're going to do because I respect you and I love you. So that's what we're going to do. You deserve this, Vince.
That's the best he could do?
That's what Vince wanted. I believe it's a gift. It's a WrestleMania 39 gift.
You don't believe that at all. You're literally just making shit up. Because you don't know at all. Because you, like me, saw this and went, did I just see what I just saw?
I mean, Triple H is a sentimental guy. He gave WWE title to the Kansas City Chiefs. He's sentimental, probably.
God, don't remind me about the Chiefs right now. Look, if you go on this route, Omos needs to win.
Yeah, that would be shocking too.
Lesnar's a made man. Omos needs to win this match if we're really going this route. Then Omos needs to win. All right, and finally, Asuka won the Elimination Chamber match to earn the right to challenge Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair at WrestleMania. Well, this made sense. Nothing I disagree with. Asuka's new pain is scary as hell. So, way too soon prediction. We'll make official ones here in about 3-4 weeks or whatever it will be. Is Asuka the woman to dethrone Bianca Belair?
I think so. I think she is. I think she fits perfectly. She's just because she's getting back to that making no one is ready for Asuka mean something again. Like when she first showed up to the main roster in her entire NXT run. And she has been able to make a transition from like, because she was entertaining as shit for a really long time during the pandemic era and after. But in the grand scheme of things, it didn't do any favors because it kind of diluted the presence of Asuka. Now her presence is back, that aura that she had before, and she's like kind of a heel, and she's got a sweet mask, and her face paint works. Like everything works right now. There's nothing that she's doing right now that you're not like, oh damn, she's about to destroy everyone that comes across from her. And Bianca's been champion for a while. It's time for her to have a change as far as the babyface champion. Nothing against Bianca Belair. She does a great job in the ring. She's still cutting good promos. But face champions usually go along the wayside a lot faster than heel champions because you're not chasing anymore. And I think it is time to give Asuka the shine that she deserves because she's proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that she has earned the chance to run with the championship with this character after the past 3 years of, I'm just going to entertain. Like from the pandemic till she went away to it was, I'm just out here to entertain you guys. It's fine. We need this, so I'm going to entertain you. I don't care what I'm doing. I don't care where I am. Well, now it's time for her to cash in those chips that she earned and win that title at WrestleMania.
I agree. I don't think you could put it any better. Very well put. Very great explanation, McCarthy. It's to me, it is. It's almost like what we talk about with like Kane, Big Show, and Goldust when he was in the company. After a certain point, you've earned throw me a bone because you have earned it because of you're willing to go any length that you're asked, whether it hurts your character or not. And so at some point you need to get, kind of what's coming to you. And that's, some good equity. And yeah, because Asuka, remember when she was just cutting promos in gibberish Japanese because Vince and everybody thought they were funny?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
I really wish I spoke Japanese so I knew what she said, but yeah.
Like he just thought the way she was doing it was hilarious, so he had her on commentary during the beginning of the Thunderdome era at random times, and because he just thought, yeah, that's good shit, pal. Like that, and she was in that, the odd Money in the Bank, climbing up the corporate ladder stuff. She won that Money in the Bank. That's where Becky Lynch, of course, would go away and become a mother. But there's so much that Asuka did. And frankly, even going back before the pandemic, Asuka gave up herself for Charlotte Flair's benefit, ending her big streak. Yeah, it's time for her to get one and be taken as seriously as she should be taken again. Not to say that all those things were bad. She made them work. But she's kind of becoming that female Kane, Big Show, Goldust, Dustin Rhodes type, where put me in whatever spot and I will make it work. I can rise up to your main event. I can go down to your lower mid card. I can be an asset up and down that board for you. It's time for her to get that moment, and I hope she does. All right, we got to take a quick break. I know it's been a long, rambly show, but there was a lot to unpack. We still have a lot to unpack with. We're going to talk a little bit of Raw, but I definitely want to get to Dynamite. We're starting to see the Revolution card come into full bore. We're going to see some serious blood with Hangman Page and Jon Moxley. I got a feeling I'm excited about that one.
Yeah, we got to do predictions for that next week.
Yeah, I know. It's time just keeps moving. But speaking of predictions, before we go to break, we need a points update.
All right. Well, you are still in the lead. You have 17. Travis has 12, and I have 11. And I'm pretty sure I did put it in the chat, but everybody that picked something correct as far as the winner of the Elimination Chamber got 2 points. So you got 2 points for Asuka and 2 points for Austin Theory. Where me and Travis just got the 2 points for Asuka.
They call me Mr. 4-point play.
But I mean, overall though, you got 3 right. So you had the better batting average for Elimination Chamber. Like me and Travis were both stuck at 2.
Look, I am absolutely Look, I'm the king of this. Let's
Hey,
be honest about it.
I'm gonna turn this around in these AEW pay-per-views. Damn it!
Look, I'm hoping to go wire to wire. I'm hoping to go wire to wire. I'm gonna be like the 1990 Cincinnati Reds.
Oh, here's a
We will.
question
I got an answer.
for the Iron Man match. Should we do what we think the final score will be, as well as the winner, and make that a 2-pointer?
Yes.
Okay, deal. Maybe even I think 3, because they're going for an hour. So you would get 1 point for getting the winner, and then 2 points if you can nail down the final score between the two. And it has to be Daniel Bryan this number and MJF this number. Not like oh, you picked them both, so like not like football pool style, but like let's make it a real good challenge to earn 3 points on that one.
Yep,
see, we're getting creative with these points. I like it.
Let's do it. Well, because look, when I go wire to wire, I'm still going to con you into buying me dinner.
I mean, that's fair. I don't care. Maybe
I'm going
to try to fit in the budget for next year's is the winner gets a championship belt, like a custom one.
Oh, yes. Go to. I believe it's FanDuelBelts.com. They make some great ones. They got the new NWA Replica Championship. Anywho, that's a sponsor we don't have. Anywho, let's take a quick break, and when we come on back, we're going to talk some Raw. We're going to talk some Dynamite. It's just the two of us. We're the king of the rambles, so God knows where we're going to go. But we're going to keep on going. You can bet on that. So don't move a move. This is To the Turnbuckle, a Snapmare Impersonation production presented by our friends Dubby.
Do you have kids? Looking for a fun, inviting way to wear them out and help them stay healthy and fit? Then look no further, my friends. Wrestle exactly what you're looking for. Certified personal trainer and pro wrestler Superman Onyx will treat your mini you to a fitness program like no other. With exercises like running the ropes to tire flips and combining healthy eating habits and personal accountability, your child will earn the conditioning of a pro wrestler without the bumps. Stop by the Now Training Center at 625 Eastgate Parkway, Blacklick, Ohio 43004, or visit WrestleFitJunior.com on Facebook for class schedules and book an appointment today. Hey,
what's up, guys? Superman Onyx here. WrestleFit, one of the newest, baddest workouts out there right now. Now, yes, the word wrestling is in it, but you won't be wrestling. You won't be doing the headlocks or the slams or the spine busters that I do. Yeah. But what you will be doing is everything that we do to get ready to get in the ring, from kettlebell swings to slam balls to flipping tires to hitting tires to doing Olympic weightlifting movements. Guys, you don't want to miss out on this. WrestleFit is the way to go. Gives you a little bit of everything. I hope to see you soon. Hey, what's up, guys? Superman Onyx here. WrestleFit, one of the newest, baddest workouts out there right now. Now, yes, the word wrestling is in it, but you won't be wrestling. You won't be doing the headlocks or the slams or the spine busters that I do. Yeah, but what you will be doing is everything that we do to get ready to get in the ring, from kettlebell swings to slam balls to flipping tires to hitting tires to doing Olympic weightlifting movements. Guys, you don't want to miss out on this. WrestleFit is the way to go. Gives you a little bit of everything. I hope to see you soon. Hey, what's up, guys? Superman Onyx here. WrestleFit, one of the newest, baddest workouts out there right now. Now, yes, the word wrestling is in it, but you won't be wrestling. You won't be doing the headlocks or the slams or the spine busters that I do. Yeah. But what you will be doing is everything that we do to get ready to get in the ring, from kettlebell swings to slam balls to flipping tires to hitting tires to doing Olympic weightlifting movements. Guys, you don't want to miss out on this. WrestleFit is the way to go. Gives you a little bit of everything. I hope to see you soon.
Do you have kids? Looking for a fun, inviting way to wear them out and help them stay healthy and fit? Then look no further, my friends. WrestleFit Jr. is exactly what you're looking for. Certified personal trainer and pro wrestler Superman Onyx will treat your mini you to a fitness program like no other.
And welcome back, everybody, to another edition of To the Turnbuckle, again, presented by Snapmare and Bruiser Nation Productions and our good friends, Dubby. So there was McCarthy, there was a report out by, I believe it was CBC, that Vince McMahon reportedly wants, I wish I could do a good Dr. Evil voice, but I can't. Vince McMahon reportedly wants $9 billion for the WWE empire. They reported that's about 27% or so more than the company is worth. 6.5 billion is what they're estimated to be worth. And they listed people as interested buyers, and Vince has already gotten some offers. And the two people they listed most notably that are interested reportedly is I believe it's pronounced Indovitor, which is the parent company UFC, and of course they called them Middle East investors. I'm going to call them the Saudis. That's because that's who I'm going to presume. That's what we're talking about. What'd you make of that report? Do you believe that's true, number one? And then number two, what do you think of the rumored buyers?
The rumored buyers don't surprise me. And to be honest, Vince asking for $9 billion doesn't surprise me either. Doesn't mean that's a hard number. That's just what he would like to get out of it. If he can find somebody to pay it, he'll take it. If he's really, really wanting to sell, he's like, all right, okay, this is what I want. But in his brain, he's got a minimum amount that he's willing to take, whether it be 7, 7.5, maybe even 8. Like, because you said it's what, worth $6.5 billion right now. So you want to make it, at least another billion off of your hard work and the thing that you created, right? I mean, it would be ideal to make $2.5 billion more than what it's worth. But I think Vince can also go, okay, it's worth $6.5 billion today. This is what it's going to be worth here. And this is going to be what it's worth here. Because it is a proven commodity and it's never going anywhere. Like the rest of pro wrestling could die. Please don't. But I'm just saying. And they would be fine for a while and be worth a lot of money for a while. Because, I mean, a big portion of their product is catered to children. Because kids don't have money. But parents have money. And parents like to buy things for their children.
I can hear Vince now on the investor call. Kids don't have any money, but parents do. Mm-hmm. Do you know how much money I've made off parents, pal? That's why me and Linda have separate houses.
This is why, I kind of think Disney should buy them. Parents like a lot of Disney things. I'm not talking about Disney adults. I'm talking about parents that get stuck watching some of these movies that don't have the word Marvel in it, and then they're like, oh, that was really good. Like Zootopia. I didn't think that was going to be good. I thought it was going to be stupid. Jason wanted me to watch it, so I watched it, and it was fantastic. They fit so well together. So well. They're a PG product. It fits. It just does. Plus, if Disney buys them, we'll get that physical Hall of Fame. Guaranteed.
Which would be so special. But I hate to poo-poo on your party, buddy. I don't think Disney's going to buy them.
I don't think they are either.
Because I personally believe, unless it's an offer he can't refuse, he's looking for a buyer that is willing to take him on too. And Indovir probably would.
Probably.
Because they currently still have Dana White as the UFC president, and they help him and support his ventures with the slap fighting, and he took that for real and slapped his wife, and they haven't batted an eye, and whatever, that's their business, ain't mine. I'm not here to knock Dana White.
I mean, I'll say this: they were both in the wrong because she hit him too.
Yeah,
it was a whole thing. Like I'm not pointing fingers in that situation. It's not my place, and I think that's all we need to say about that.
Yep. And but point being is UFC still employs Dana White, Indovir does, and he's the UFC president. I could see Indovir doing a similar thing with Vince, making him the president of WWE. That way, when he tells you it's going to be worth this down the line, he can help guarantee that. And say what you want about his creative ability, he can help you run a business. He can help you just fine run a business. And then with the Saudis, we know that they could take it private and keep Vince running pretty much everything. And what are you going to do about it? Nothing. Now, people don't understand. If the Saudis buy it, that does not mean that their customs become the company's customs. There's a lot of companies you watch that have some Saudi backing, I hate to tell you. I don't mean you, Jason. I mean the world that is not aware of just how much the Saudi helps fund things. It does not mean that U.S. customs would change or that WWE would move to Saudi or women got to cover up outside of Saudi. Like, no, that's not how that works. They are just like Vince. They're ruthless business people. They don't give a shit about their customs when it comes to their money. And so I think my belief is still it's going to the Saudis. I think he'll work out a deal where some major Saudi backer buys it, but he still runs everything that really matters. And he almost becomes Eric Bischoff. It's a blank check. Here you go. And he can make him boatloads because say what you want about his creative ability. There's about 1.5 million fans. Let's call it 1.5, somewhere in that ballpark, give or take. That I know everyone would say that stop watching. There's about 1.5 million of us. We wouldn't stop watching. We would bitch. We as a collective group. I might not, but we would bitch and complain. We're not stopping watching. It's because it's too ingrained in us. Like, I've gotten frustrated and tried to give it up for a few weeks. I can never do it. I thought I was going to try to give it up when Vince was out the first time. Couldn't do it. I tried for like a week. But at the end of the day, I have a weird obsession with this. And I can't give it up.
Well,
so my point is...
Oh, go ahead.
Go
sorry.
ahead.
No.
So my point is like when people go, well, I swear if he gets back in charge, I'll stop watching. Some of you would. Most of you wouldn't. Because overall, until 6 months ago, it's all you knew anyway, and you still watched. And if you know your Vince history, again, this is it might not crack the top 5 of questionable moral things he's done. I think he gets – now, I know that there was a report by Meltzer that his continued involvement is hurting buying chances, not helping, or seen as a hindrance or whatever word Meltzer used. And so, I think if he got $9 billion, he'd think about getting out again for good because $9 billion, meaning he gets about probably 3 of that, which means he makes $3 billion because he has the most stock. And yeah, I'd think about getting out for that too. Because you know what I could do if I wanted to? I could go start a whole nother company if I wanted to. If I so desired it, like I can go find something else to play with. I can bring back WCW. But the reality is he's probably not getting $9 billion. So he might be saying, I want $9 billion if you don't want me. I'll take 7.5 if you do want me. I'll take 7 if you want. I'll take 6.5 if you do want me. Because I'm still going to make $2-3 billion, and then I'll make you and I more than you could ever imagine because no one can question my business savvy. Ha 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 ha. So you're going to pay more if you don't want me. I think that's what Vince is doing. I think he is aiming way high, and if you want to be, especially as we teeter on the edge of recession, I'm not doing politics, but I'm just talking about the facts of the economy, where we're at, as we teeter on the possibility of recession and media companies looking to lock down. If you want to be a fool to some extent, even though I think you'll make your money back in the long run, and pay $9 billion and not have Vince McMahon, you go ahead and you give that a shot as we teeter on this edge of recession. Again, I'm not being political. I'm just looking at the economy for what it is. Do you think that's what Vince might be thinking here? Because are you like me? Because I know that Nick Khan said Vince would step aside for the good of shareholder value, which then totally is undercut. Vince literally undercut that himself by strong-arming him way through the company when they said they'd work with him. So shut up, Nick. You're lying. Ain't no gladly. Do you agree that Vince is looking for a buyer overall that will take him on too?
I mean, more than likely. That's
what I would
expect.
Politic me. Don't you politic me. You know good and hell well. You and Vince used to have brown hair together. And I mean naturally brown. All right?
That's fair. Yeah, probably. That's probably what the $9 billion price tag is you have to take me on too.
Yep.
Or no, I'll walk away if you give me 9. Yeah. Anything less, you have to take me too. I could see that. And you know what? And if that does happen, like since you kind of brought it up, those people that would be like, oh, I'm done. I'm not watching anymore for a week. Because I'll be honest, people that bitch like that remind me of people that used to bitch at a deli that I used to work at. I'm never coming here again. I think people that work in restaurants don't remember your face when you say that just so we can laugh and make fun of you to each other when you walk in the door a week later.
See you in 2 weeks, Tom.
It's the funniest shit in the world. I'm not coming here ever again. Oh, hey. Hi, Tom. How you doing? You getting your regular order today. All the good shit.
I see you cooled off. That's great. Glad to have you back.
And I mean, I'm a prime example too. Remember when he laid everybody off in the pandemic? I was very clear that I would no longer do commentary for WWE matches on the Bruce Cruz podcast. But I still did Loganity, which is Loganity at the time.
Yeah.
So I was still watching the product, and the words never were, I'm not watching your product anymore.
We're always going to watch the product, just as I'm always going to watch AEW. Speaking of AEW, I know we're going all over the place, but I think we're going to touch on this too. What'd you make of Tony Khan's comments on Twitter that got fired up? What's that journalist's name? Help me out.
Oh, Ariel Helwani, I think.
Yeah, what'd you make of that? Obviously, Ariel showed up on SmackDown, and it appeared that Tony Khan took issue with it. Because what'd you make of that?
I don't know. They don't like each other. It all stems from an interview at the end of October last year. They don't like each other.
Look,
so it's this is how the world works now.
I actually, and I know this is going to sound weird, but I actually see Tony Khan's point. Like, did you probably need to tweet it out and do it? No. Like, probably not the best thing to do because you do look whiny and whatever. It doesn't mean you're not necessarily right. Ariel prides himself, because I know his work. I couldn't think of his name. like he prides himself on being this unbiased journalist, but to our knowledge, he doesn't have a WWE contract, and yet he's been all over WWE shows the last week in Montreal. That looks very not unbiased. That looks like you're working for WWE, and that's fine if you are, but don't present it as otherwise.
And that's exactly what he was saying. That's why I didn't have an issue with it. Like, I know, like you said, should he have tweeted it? Probably not. It does seem like a whine, but at the same time, he's not wrong.
Yeah, like I think, look, people can say something about Tony Khan being whiny or weird or different. I applaud Tony Khan for having such great passion about his product and not losing the ability to be a fan, essentially. Like, again, was it probably becoming of a man that is CEO of a growing company and has close ties to the Jaguars? Probably not. But you know what? I get so tired of what is becoming or what is this and what is that. You know what we all are, people? Beings. And therefore, sometimes we react and go, what the fuck's this horseshit? Like, people always say, well, you gotta, like, the biggest criticism that Donald Trump had during his presidency, that the one thing I was like, I don't really understand that is, well, he doesn't act presidential. Okay. I'm glad that he's alive and I know what his true feelings are. I like authenticity, and so I like the fact that Tony Khan is authentic. It doesn't mean he's always right. Again, did he need to tweet it? Probably not. But I like the fact that you can tell Tony Khan is a real human being, and he's not giving you some corporate spin, and he's not looking to impress shareholders or like. Tony Khan is a real human being with real emotions who sometimes makes some mistakes. Like, all right, probably shouldn't have tweeted it. Got a little hot. Haven't we all? Haven't we all posted things on social media that even if they weren't appropriate per se, we've all probably gone, I probably shouldn't have posted that. Like, the thing about people in the public eye like Tony Khan, and this goes for politicians, this goes for just people in the public eye in general, right? Sometimes we as a society hold them to a higher standard than they hold ourselves. People go, well, Tony Khan's acting like a man-child. I've seen your tweets, Tom. You've said much worse. I see you I've seen the things you've said about Vince McMahon. That's not professional. You were atting him. You wanted him to die. You know, I'm saying these are the same people. And not everybody. Some people do have that standard of online behaving themselves, and that's great. But 90% of people that go, well, that's unbecoming of this person to say this. What do? We should stop as a society, in my opinion, and certainly in wrestling. Fine, if you want to talk politics and presidents, that's different. I'm not trying to get political, truly. But especially in wrestling, let's not hold a human being higher than any standard we hold ourselves as you continue to tweet Becky Lynch about, oh, you look like you've gained some weight, or Bailey or whatever else. Like, this is such a 90% of you are such hypocrites. 90% of you. Again, I'm sure there's some fans that absolutely behave as professionally as they are asking Tony Khan or other people to do, and my hat's off to you. But people are screwed up for the most part. So 90% of you Twitter trolls are out, Tony Khan's a man-child. All right, so are you. So are you. You ignored your kid for 2 weeks because you spilled the milk. All right. We live in this world where we act like people act like they don't do the same stupid shit. And he should behave better because he's the CEO. So he has to behave better because his job is better than yours? Sounds like he's doing something better than you. Maybe you should behave differently. He's the CEO of a freaking company, and you're working retail. And I'm not knocking retail. I want to make that clear. I'm saying, who are you to tell this man how to behave? I don't get it. Oh, he acts like a man-child. Okay. Great. Meanwhile, you're supporting the guy that has made a living off of penis jokes his entire career, but we're real mature here. It's all about maturity. It's all about maturity. Well, he doesn't let that tie over into his work that we know of. We don't know what decisions. Again, Goldberg is conspicuously by his absence, even though he could help out with Saudi shows that we know of. We haven't seen Hulk Hogan on program for 2 years, other than one walk to the ramp with Raw. We don't know. Maybe Triple H is better at hiding his immaturity, and I'm not knocking Triple H for this one time. I'm saying I guarantee you he's got it because he's human. All right, I'm done ranting. Sorry, I had to go on that.
No, you're fine. I agree with you 100%. Like, he wasn't offensive.
He
stated his opinion, and he's, like you said, he's kind of not wrong, because Errol Hawani, I'm sorry, bro. I don't know you, and I apologize for butchering your last name. If you hear this, you probably won't, but I'm just saying, I'm sorry. But it's not a big deal. Like, people have beef. It happens.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you're at that level, whether you're the CEO of a very public pro wrestling company or a journalist that traditionally covers mixed martial arts and now all of a sudden only covers WWE, it's not a big deal. Like, who cares? Especially because he fired right back. Like, I almost thought, like, I had forgotten about that interview in October where he was kind of just kept going for Tony's throat about all the stuff that went on backstage at All Out. And that's why they have their issues. But when I read what Ariel tweeted back to him, I was like, are they friends? I feel like this is a friends kind of a message almost, like dudes messing with each other. Because he fired right back about a joke about Tony Schiavone. Like, it's not even a big deal. If they do have beef, I didn't get that from the tweet exchange. When I read it, not thinking about that interview back in October because it was fucking October. A lot's happened since then in my life, in wrestling and everything else. I was like, oh, why is everybody freaking out? They got to be friends. It's fine. Like, who cares? It was like not even on my radar for more than 5 minutes. Because I saw his response, and that's fine. If they don't like each other and they want to throw jabs at each other, that's fine. They're not out here like your wife's a tramp or anything, the million other terrible things you could say to somebody if you have an issue with them. It was just a little professional jab and go on.
If you want to get technical, Ariel was worse because he called Tony Khan the snowman, which we know what that implies.
Yes, we do.
And you have no proof of that, and so that's, to me, especially as a journalist, and I'm not a journalist. I don't claim to be one or play one on TV. I'm very upfront about my opinions on, if you truly are an unbiased journalist, then for you to say such a thing, Tony Khan could sue you for slander. You ain't got any proof of that. I'm not saying Tony Khan doesn't do those things or does do those things. But by implying that he's the snowman, you're implying that he definitely does those things. You don't have any proof of that. And even if he does, again, I don't know. And that's not that doing those things are okay. But how is that relevant to the discussion you're having? He knocked you for biased journalism, when now all of a sudden you're right. He's an MMA guy who is suddenly an expert on all things WWE. And I like a lot of his work. I thought he did a great sit down with Triple H. And he asked Triple H some tough questions when Triple H was in the UK for Clash at the Castle. I thought he did a great job.
Hey, and really that hype video, that was legit, man. That he narrated, like, that they played during the pre-show. That was legit. Like, I'm not trying to take away in this conversation anything away from the work that he's done, but he definitely doesn't feel unbiased at this point.
But, one of those do it as a one-off sort of thing is fine. But now we had you on back-to-back nights. He was on the Friday night before Elimination Chamber, and then he was on the Elimination Chamber pre-show. And, we're hyping up Sami Zayn winning like it's the World Series or something. And totally fine if you are out front and working for WWE to sell the products. But then you're not who you say you are. And let's be public about that. Or maybe you were who you said you were and you've taken a job recently with the company, and that's fine too. But you owe it to everybody to be like, yeah, I got this great opportunity. I couldn't turn it down. So I work for WWE now. Boom. But instead, we're going to continue to pretend you work for BT Sport and whoever else, and you're respectfully going to get the scoop. Like, I just don't see that. The only way I could see that is if the next time that AEW is in the Canadian neck of the woods, I'd better see you there. I'd better see you there, or else I cannot say. Because if it becomes your shtick, because some journalists have a kind of a shtick of, yeah, I'm a journalist, but I'm a fan, and you're going to see me getting hyped, and we see that in other sports all the time. And NASCAR's got a couple of journalists that are that way, that they work for the networks, but their shtick and gimmick is, I'm still a fan. So unless Ariel's going to attend AEW Canadian shows with that kind of passion and fervor, you don't look good. You don't look good. You just don't. And again, I'm not knocking him if he's working for the WWE. I'm not knocking that. Props to you. That's where we're trying to get, right? But that's where everybody is trying to get overall. And I don't mean everybody literally, people. It's a general statement. Why does everybody want to get to WWE? That's the fattest part of my keister. Thank you. And so it's a matter of like, you claim to be this unbiased journalist. You need to be upfront if that has changed, because people respect your work. And instead of saying, because what he should have done, like, again, because going back to it, I acknowledge Tony Khan probably doesn't need to tweet that publicly. Maybe send a text. Hey, what's going on? Why are you, because I'm sure you got because Tony Khan's pretty out front with giving out his information. Jim Cornette has his phone number.
And that's fair.
Tony Khan is not shy about if you want to talk to me. He seems to be a very accessible CEO if you can just get in touch with him.
I think he's the most accessible CEO in the history of business.
He might be. And so, like, so my thing, like, I think if Tony has an issue with it, I think he should message probably Ariel privately and go, hey, are you, I don't mean to pry, but, if you're a journalist, how's this happening? I would respectfully ask. And then Ariel can respond however he wants to. So if Tony made one mistake by tweeting it out, then Ariel made another by not remotely addressing the criticism. All he did was defend Tony Schiavone when Tony Khan wasn't even knocking Schiavone. It was acknowledging the fact that Tony Schiavone is a pro wrestling reporter, play-by-play man. I got news, people. I don't mean to spoil you, but if you happen to watch our ASWA shows, and we thank you if you do, I'm not really that big of a jerk.
He's right. He's really not. I just did not expect that line to come out.
I'm not really that big of a jerk that really believes that much in the status symbols. That is the gimmick that I go with because I find that it works for me. And it's worked for our broadcast, if I do say so myself.
Oh yeah, y'all killed it. I mean, that was dude. I messed up my whole microphone setup. That was hilarious. I'm serious. He's really not. He's fucking amazing. But for you to throw it out like that was great. People of Mansfield, I genuinely love you, even though I say horrible things about you on the broadcast. So my point is we're not pretend. People say, well, how could he knock Tony like that? Because people said that too. Knock Tony like, because Tony Khan knows that Tony Schiavone is not a journalist. He is a play-by-play, and he has never been a legit journalist in his life. The closest he could come to being a journalist is he called games for the Braves minor league system for a long time, I believe, after retirement from wrestling. Yeah, when he left WCW, that's exactly what he did. But at the same time, a commentator is not a journalist. It's not the same thing. Not even remotely close to the same thing.
Because even the commentator, if you're working for a team, there's an inherent bias there. any commentator that worked, like if you have, in Reds lore for years, it was Marty Brennaman. Marty Brennaman wanted the Reds to do well. You work for the Reds. It's the way it is. That's the way. So, sorry to go on this big ramble, but I know it was a big issue with the IWC and the whole nine. I'll let you take it from here. Where do you want to go next?
I don't know. I mean, what isn't a big issue for the IWC these days? I mean, cheese and rice. Like, was Dynamite like that great? Not really. I don't want to say you could skip it, because like some things moved. Like at least we know what Jon Moxley and Hangman Page are going to be doing in 2 weeks. They're going to be bleeding like stuck pigs. And this guy is all here for it. All here for it. I mean, look, I wore the Britt Baker bloody shirt just for the occasion because I figured we'd talk about it. And I don't think I've worn it in a while on the show, so that kind of factored into my decision making as well. But
I'm wearing a Fine to the Turnbuckle t-shirt.
Hey, all right.
So, what is your expectations for that match? Because I think it's going to be more blood than we can almost stand. It's going to look like a GCW match in there.
Oh yeah, I'm going to have no problem. We might want to, do a video chat with Travis and just make sure he doesn't pass out from all the blood that he's going to see.
He's going to get a little squeamish,
a little bit.
I can't wait to review Revolution 2 weeks.
It's going to be great, dude.
It's going to. We're really hitting such a great point of the year, and now Ring of Honor's coming back in full swing. And
another thing that kind of stuck out for me with Dynamite was, did the Moxley, Castagnoli, and Vance and Rush match really further any like big storylines? Not really. But it reminded us who Vance is. Because when he was, number 10, I think that's who it was.
Yep.
We knew he could go, but he didn't really get fleshed out much and normally got thrown to the wolves. Yeah, they lost. But I mean, he hung in there with 3 of the best wrestlers in the company, potentially top 10 in the world. You can throw those 3 anywhere in the top 10 and you wouldn't be wrong. He hung in there. And that says a lot. And I think a lot of, yes, do we want stories? Like I saw some jackass tweet how Revolution cards building up to a film with no story or a film with no story. Here's the trailer. And it lists all the matches that are scheduled so far. Well, I mean, Wardlow and Joe have a story. That was his best promo ever.
Mm-hmm. When
he talked about losing the connection to his dad, that he didn't have a connection with his dad with very long to begin with. And Joe took that away from him. That's a story. Hangman Page and Moxley, that's a story. Hangman got knocked out. And now they Moxley won, but kind of not really. I mean, he won, but it wasn't like, you rolled me up, man. We got more to do. And Bryan Danielson and MJF, that's a story in itself right there. But I brought that up because not every match every time has to have like a specific story in place. Sometimes that story has to be created in the match because you're just kind of out there to do something. And I think they kind of created that with Vance and how good he is. There's a reason Rush and them chose Vance, and this is why. And I think he can finally get over that hump. Like, I think this was the best decision ever, is to take him and put him with them. We need to see that side of him.
Well, I think the criticism of the Revolution card, let's yes, I understand some of the criticism of it, but let's also remember AEW's got one more week of TV to get this thing more filled out. Because, I mean, and you can say, well, it's just one more week. Well, that's one more week. It's not over yet. We're not there yet. You're going to have some additions. And plus, let's look at the card as we know it right now. You got MJF versus Bryan Danielson, a 60-minute Iron Man match. It's going to be a banger, people. That probably is going to be worth the price of the admission, the old saying.
Oh,
right?
yeah. That thing's
that's
not going to end till 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh God, I'll be so tired. And then you got the AEW World Tag Team Championship, the Guns versus the Acclaimed versus TBD versus TBD. We don't know who those teams are going to be.
Ooh.
Who do you think those teams are going to be?
Dude,
Any
I have no
guesses?
idea. I think Top Flight should be one of them, unless they want to stay focused with Kenny and them, or they take the trios titles. But like, I don't even know, and I like that with the TBD kind of.
Do you stick Sting and Darby in there?
I think you could. I don't think it would hurt anything. It would probably enhance the match a lot. And I mean, since you brought it up, I think a lot of people question this title change. I thought it was weird. I didn't really quite, because I try to take a step back these days and be like, all right, let's see what happens. All right, they've already changed their look, and they cut the best promo of their lives. Was it backstage pre-taped? Sure it was, probably. But they changed their look, and they cut the best promo ever, which tells me maybe this was the right decision, because these are mirror image tag teams. They both came up on Dark and have now become world tag team champions. Like, this is actually a really good story if you take your emotion and love of the Acclaimed out of it. And you're like, oh, damn. Because they shocked me with that promo on Wednesday. I was like, damn, that was really good. Like, they never delivered bad ones, but there was just something else with that promo on Wednesday.
I agree, and so just give it this week, people, and let's see what happens. Other spots on the card, we'll see what the TBD is versus TBD. Talked about Joe versus Wardlow there. Plus, it's going to be a banger anyway. A story aside, we're finally getting a story there to really sink our teeth into.
Yeah,
don't know why anyone's complaining about that. And then Jon Moxley versus Hangman Page. If that's your type of thing, like it's my type of thing, it's probably going to be your match of the night. I mean, let's be honest with it. If you enjoy the blood and guts aspect of professional wrestling as I do, if you don't, that's, hey, Travis Napper's as squeamish as anybody I've seen with that. But he's not alone in that. He's not alone in that at all. But as an old school ECW watcher, I'll take it. Do I want to see it every week? No, but on the pay-per-view, yeah, I want a match where it's like, oh my goodness. I want to get a little comfortable. I want to get a little queasy.
I want to be like, oh damn, Renee's gonna be pissed.
Yeah. So you're talking about right there is 4 big time matches, and then the other potential additions, you might see an AEW Trios Championship match with the Elite versus House of Black. That's a banger. I mean, I'm not a big Elite guy, but I've never taken away from their talent and ability. You might be looking at Chris Jericho versus Ricky Starks. Nothing wrong with that.
Nope. And I mean, there's a story involved with that. You don't need a story if you want the Trios Championships. That's all the story that you need. Mm-hmm. You have them. I want them. We're taking them from you. That's all the story you need sometimes.
Yeah, because sometimes the titles need to be the story, because isn't that what in kayfabe this is all about overall? We've seen John Cena cut that one great promo as a part-timer when he got another world title shot. The day I don't want to step my 2 feet in this ring and be the world champion is the day I leave and not come back. Like in kayfabe, you should want to be a champion. That's the whole purpose of this in kayfabe. What else do you need sometimes? Jungle Boy versus Christian Cage will finally get the full payoff of that story. Let's hope. That's not official, but it's a rumored addition. We'll see what happens to the card. We might get Swerve Strickland versus Keith Lee. A lot of people are not Keith Lee because he came back and it didn't dye his hair. Keith Lee has been very public about the fact that he went gray very early, as we can tell. Did you see Keith Lee's return on Rampage?
We talked about this with Edge. Who cares? Who cares?
It would not bother. If you are okay to go in the ring, it's all I care about. Yep. I don't care what you look like. I don't. There is a certain point of believability to it. I get it, but as long as you look okay and not everyone's going to look like a Greek god. All right, that's just the way it is. Now, I can be critical of guys I find to be too small because I think there has to be a certain believability aspect, but it is believable that the older looking guy with gray hair could whip the younger guy because he's got the experience and he's learned. My only criticism is sometimes a guy looks so scrawny that it's like, how do you, my criticism with Marco Stunt was he looks so scrawny. How could I ever believe he can win a fight? That was my criticism.
He was pushing it.
Other than that, I wouldn't care if the Undertaker wrestled his last match with no die. It would not bother me, because can you still believably whip somebody? If the answer is overall yes, go ahead. Keith Lee, if anything, I thought he kind of looked more menacing and more serious.
I think so too, which I think is what they're going for overall with this whole Swerve Strickland thing. Swerve's trying to build something on his own. Keith Lee was kind of too happy, just too happy. It was weird, because it wasn't like he wasn't happy in NXT when he was beating people up, but it was like the happy kind of overshadowed his ruthlessness, because he was ruthless in NXT. He really hasn't shown that so far in AEW.
And hopefully this new version does that.
And sometimes it takes a friend betraying you and busting your knee with a cinder block to really knock some sense into you. I can't believe that is a normal statement, but it is.
It sure is. There's still tomorrow's Dynamite, folks, and there's still Rampage, and you can always add something even on a Dark Elevation. To be honest with you, you can fill this card out and make it look just fine, and it's got the makings of it.
Well, there's still stuff for the women to do. We're still not sure who's going to get a title shot, which direction they're going. Are they doing a multi-women's match? Who's Jade going to wrestle? There's a lot of questions.
If anything, that makes this week's editions of AEW television must see.
Yeah, it does, because you want to know what's going on, because it's getting close, and they do like to do this sometimes, where it comes close to the pay-per-view, and they know where they're going, but they planted enough seeds for us to ask the right questions instead of the wrong questions. Where are we going with Bray Wyatt for 4.5 months? That's the wrong question. Where are we going in 2 weeks? It's an all right question, because you can see pieces. There's pieces on the board for all of these things to happen. They just haven't pulled that proverbial trigger yet and announced the matchups.
And let's look at it this way. Let's call another spade a spade as we begin to run short on time. But every week the narrative about AEW Rampage is no one's watching. All right, so let's see these big matches booked and give them a reason to watch. I mean, aren't you curious? And you and I are curious, I know. But to the people that listen to this show, to even our own Travis Napper, aren't you curious to see where this week's AEW TV is going to go? Because I am, because there's so many different players that might get stuck in a match here at Revolution to fill out the card. Again, could Sting be involved on that card? Could Jeff Jarrett be involved on that card? What's Jade Cargill going to do as she continues to improve? Once Cassidy's got a belt he could defend. Well, what's Jamie Hayter going to do? There's so many different variables and pieces that Tony Khan could shift and move where, yes, I can understand people's criticism to this late in the game and we have only 4 matches filled. I get that. But there is something to be said about that versus the WWE way of 6 weeks out and we kind of have a pretty good idea of there's something to be said, because I don't want to get to the point of conveyor belt TV. I thought this week's AEW Dynamite was conveyor belt TV and I didn't enjoy it. I like the fact that we have some uncertainty to what's this card going to look like. Yeah, do I want that every time? No. But I think one good time, especially as we head in May, they'll have their biggest show of the year, Double or Nothing. I presume it's their biggest show of the year. I don't know if Tony Khan agrees with that or not.
It's technically their first official one, so yeah.
Yeah, so that to me feels like their WrestleMania in my view. So yeah, I think it's fine for this card to be lacking on paper right now before we get there. We got another week, people. Calm down, take a breath. Let's see what Tony can do. Last question before we get out of here. I want to know, Mr. McCarthy, what do you think Tony Khan's announcement is on Dynamite this week?
The Rampage is going to 2 hours?
I hope. I would hope.
Because they could use that time. Because there are some bangers and some dimes and some hidden gems that they have on Rampage that, I mean, is hard 10 o'clock at night sometimes to stay up and watch Rampage. There's times I've fallen asleep in the chair trying to watch it. There's times where I've finished SmackDown and said, all right, I'll watch this later. Mm-hmm. But I get up early. It is what it is. But I'm really trying to be a devil's advocate kind of with this discussion, and it's like everybody's like, no one's watching Rampage. Okay, what are you doing at 10 o'clock at night on a Friday? Oh, you're doing nothing? Turn on Rampage. Are you a fan of professional wrestling, or are you not? That's what I don't understand. Now, if you only like WWE or only like AEW or a New Japan person, I mean, that's fine. But at the end of the day, it's all pro wrestling. It's just someone else's interpretation of professional wrestling and how professional wrestling should be presented. Do you like pro wrestling or don't you? That's what should matter, not what company I'm watching. I found it so much more enjoyable when it's like, I don't really care. I just want to watch wrestling. I just want to watch the guys I like. I want to see some bangers. And people that you don't know will show up and pull out a banger, and now you won't forget them ever again. But if you don't give them that chance, how are you ever going to know? You miss a lot with this tribalism stuff. You really do. And I mean, to each their own. I'm not going to tell you what to watch. But all I'm saying, it's like the ramble I had last week with people that shit on pro wrestling just because. It's another one of those, man, just give it a shot. Yeah, maybe you tried it and you didn't like it a year ago. A lot has changed. A lot's changed in 6 months. The way Tony builds shows has changed. Maybe you didn't like how shows were built. I know we had a lot of discussions about that, how they felt built weird. So, give it another chance. Go check out New Japan. See the influence that AEW is getting, because I think that's where a lot of American fans have an issue getting into AEW, because they were so conditioned that WWE is the only way to do it. They didn't expand their horizons and watch the New Japan, which is a very big influence on the way AEW matches are wrestled.
Amen. I agree. Watch Rampage, watch Dynamite, watch WWE, watch anything you can watch as long as you got the time. Look, you can have your favorite companies. Lord knows we do, but let's support pro wrestling, because there's a lot of great stuff out there. And if you don't even give a chance to look at it, then you don't know. If you're a WWE lifer, an AEW lifer, and you're not watching another company, what are you doing? The only way you ever knew you liked it is because you watched it one time.
Exactly. And I challenge anybody to find a better independent tables, ladders, and chairs match that we witnessed 2 Saturdays ago. I dare them.
That's true.
So support your local indies too, because that's where everyone comes from. Everybody starts from somewhere.
Amen. Pro wrestling matters, all of it. So let's watch it. Let's support it. And look, if something's not for you, that's fine, but at least give it a shot. It's different strokes for different folks. I get it, but at least give it a shot. So with that, McCarthy, any final words before we get out of here?
Man, just visit w.gg and use code BruiserNation. That's BRUZER Nation for 10% off each and every order. Now, I've been propping up the big energy cheers that I mix with my smoothie every morning, but they have fantastic flavors. They have like a beach in paradise. It's like a peach kind, and they got like a strawberry banana. They got all kinds, and they got some nice merch too. Like I said, 10% off. You don't have to dive into the Dubby ecosystem right away either there, Buckle Brigade. They have starter packs with 2 packets. That's only 2 servings, but 2 packets of Dubby and a little shaker bottle for $14.99 plus shipping. I mean, you can probably get free shipping, but you're not going to get it in 4 days. So
it's a fair point. So, look, we'll try some out hopefully next week. Hopefully we're back live in studio from McCarthy Manor.
And if that glowing recommendation isn't enough, we get a cut of what you purchase at w.gg if you use our code. So not only are you experiencing new energy, you are helping our podcast grow. You're helping a local small business grow. So if you want to help people grow and do good things, use our code. Help us get a cut. It helps us out. It helps them out. They're a small business too. They're new to this game. Let's help small and local businesses. Everybody help everybody, and we can all eat or drink Dubby.
Eat or drink Dubby. Amen to that. So, Mr. McCarthy, with that, thank you for another fine edition to the Turnbuckle. Hopefully, we'll be right back there with Buster and the gang next week. And until next week, we'll see you in the ring. Smile, take care, and until then, ding, ding.